Welcome to today's lecture for MLT 115. Today we're going to learn to do metric conversions using a number line. If you've learned how to do metric conversions in another math class a different way and that works for you, that's completely fine. But I find it easiest to teach students to do it on this line method, so that's how we're going to learn to do it. But again, if you know how to do it a different way, that's completely fine. So we learned in the previous lecture there's different prefixes that are associated with the metric system. And let's review those real quick. There's kilo, hecto, deca, deci, centi, milli, micro, nano, and pico. So these are the ones that you want to commit to memory. Also, there's the base units, and the base units will fall in this area in between deca and deci. And remember, your base units for the metric system are gram, meter, and liter. So all these different prefixes can be put in front of your base units, your grams, liters, and meters. Okay, we have a little trick or a little saying that we can use to help us remember the prefixes for the metric system. And that trick is kangaroos hopping down bumpy driveways crushing marshmallows. And the first letter of each of these words in the saying correlates to the first letter of our prefixes. And it'll get you down to about milli, this little saying will. So kilo correlates with kangaroos, hecto correlates with hopping, deca correlates with down, deci correlates with driveways, centi correlates with crushing, and milli correlates with marshmallows. And then you just have to commit the micro, nano, and pico to memory. And of course the B in our little saying correlates to our base units. And our base units again are grams, meters, and liters. Okay, so let's look at an example. Let's convert grams to milligrams. Let's do 3.45 grams to milligrams. Okay, I've already drawn out the number line for us to help us with our conversion. And I've written down all the different prefixes for us, but normally I would just write down the very first letter of the prefix. But just to illustrate and show you and represent, if you're not familiar with this number line, I've wrote out all the prefixes. So we're going to start out with grams. And that's one of our base units, so we're going to start at this point. And we're going to go to milligrams, so we're going over here. So we're going to hop over each space. And we're going to do 3 hops over to milligrams. So when we look at our number, we've got 3.45. So we're going to have to move our decimal to the right 3 spaces. So we're going to end up with 3,450 milligrams. That's our answer. 3,450 milligrams. Let's look at another example. We're going to convert 5,643.76 microliters to liters. And I've set up my number line already. And this is usually how I set up my number line. I just use the very first letter of the prefix. I don't write out the whole prefix. But be careful when you set up the number line this way, because you've got 2 D's and 2 M's. Remember, the very first D is representing deca, and the second D is representing deci. The first M is representing milli. The second M is representing micro. And the first bit of your number line goes along with your saying, kangaroos hop down bumpy driveways crushing marshmallows. But the last half of your number line, it represents your micro, pico, or micro, nano, and pico. But remember, when you're setting up that part of the number line, you need to add an additional 2 dashes in between the micro, the nano, and the pico in order to be correct as far as the spaces that you need to jump and how many spaces you need to move your decimal, whether you're moving your decimal left or right. So this is basically how I usually set up my number line. So let's get to the actual example. So we're going from microliters, so our microliters are right here, and we're going to liters. Remember, liters is a base unit. So we need to hop, let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces to the left. So we're going to move our decimal 6 spaces. So let's write our number down below. 76. And here's our decimal. Again, we're going to hop 6 spaces to the left. So that is 4. So we need 2 more. So we're going to end up with 0.0056437 liters, and that's a small number. So here's our answer. Okay, let's do a third example. Let's convert kilometers to centimeters. And I didn't draw the number line, so let's draw the number line together this time. So here's our line. So kangaroos hopping down bumpy driveways, crushing marshmallows. And then I'm going to go ahead and do 2 more dashes. And then micro, I have to extend my line a little bit. Nano, and then pico. Okay, kangaroos hopping down bumpy driveways, crushing marshmallows. Okay, we're going to go from kilometers all the way down to centimeters. So we're going to jump 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces to the right. 34.7. I'm going to move my decimal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces to the right. So I'm going to end up with 34.70000 centimeters. So this is my final answer. This slide is just talking about that we use the line method to convert metric conversions, but there is other methods, and again, if you know a different way that works better for you, feel free to use it, but it's just easier a lot of times to teach and for students to understand using the line method, but feel free to use whatever method is easiest for you. This slide is showing you the different equations that you need to be able to convert Fahrenheit to Celsius and Celsius to Fahrenheit. We went over these in a previous lecture, so I'm not going to go into great detail about that, but there is some important temperatures that you need to know for the laboratory. 37 degrees Celsius is about 98.6 degrees, and that is around body temperature. We usually like to keep our refrigerator temperatures between 2 and 8 degrees Celsius in the lab, and our room temperature in the laboratories need to usually be around 21 to 22 degrees Celsius. This concludes our lecture on metric conversions. I hope you have enjoyed learning the line method. If you have any questions, of course, you can email me, ask me before or after lab, or you can come see me during my office hours.